Hi everybody, this is Al. I got an update for you while I'm working right now, driving between towns. So, since I had some windshield time ahead of me, I figure I'd just go ahead and talk about a few things. Uh, just wanted to share with you, I guess, my thoughts on kind of what I think is coming up, and how do you help yourselves? How do I kind of help you, help yourselves in getting ready. I think the economy is a huge concern and should be a huge concern for almost everybody. It is my firm belief that we're headed to an inevitable and unavoidable financial and economic collapse sometime in the near future, the next few years. I would expect our currency, the US dollar, to be significantly devalued within the next 12 to 24 months. So I am personally taking steps to protect my family from that, and I would advise you to do the same thing. The only reason I think the economic collapse is really underway already, it's just not apparent because of the quantitative easing that's going on by the Federal Reserve. I don't know if many of you realize, but we posted a deficit in February of this year of 2011 in excess of $220 billion. That single month deficit was larger than the entire year's deficit for the year of 2007. And that should give everyone pause as to how frantically we are spending money that we don't have. We are selling US Treasuries, which is really issuing debt for somebody else to buy, and there are really no buyers. I mean, there are very few buyers. We know that Japan was, one of the largest buyers. The three largest being really China, the UK, and Japan. Japan being, I think, the second largest. And Japan has its own problems right now, so I don't think they're going to be buying treasuries. And a big concern, I think, is that they have so much rebuilding to do, and it's going to be so expensive that they're going to have to, more than likely, sell the treasuries that they have to generate the cash flow they need to repair their country and their economy. And all that's going to do is flood the market with dollars that all of a sudden are going to become very, very devalued. So I don't see any goodness ahead. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for the Federal Reserve buying treasuries and monetizing the debt, we'd be right now completely insolvent. We wouldn't have any money to operate the country. Not many people realize it, but the Federal Reserve buys 70% of the treasuries. That really means that only 30% of other 30% of the treasuries are purchased by other nations or other investors, private investors, central banks, so on. And that's a sobering number. We are printing money, essentially writing one check and moving it from one pocket to the other pocket and then cashing it out of the other pocket. That, doesn't work financially for anybody. So I think that whatever it's going to happen, it's not far in the future. I am guessing really by either the end of this year or no later than mid of next year, we're going to see some severe and extremely significant and painful changes. And I don't think the United States will be a country that we will recognize as what we see today or even 3 years ago. So what I would counsel everybody to do is to invest in food storage, make sure that you have enough to last you for a while. I found actually a great place. There's a guy that I subscribe to who's really good, Full Bar Protocol. on the YouTube channel. He's out of Houston, and coincidentally enough, he had posted a couple of videos about food preparation. And he posted one about the Latter-day Saints, and I found their what they call the Bishop store in Houston. It's actually in Bel Air, Texas. For those of us in Texas who are watching this and around the Houston area, they're actually located at 4800 Furnace Place in Bel Air. They have everything that you need to can your own food, bag it in Mylar bags. They have the oxygen absorbers. The price that you pay includes all the canning, so they provide you with, you know, the cans, the machine. They have the machine to seal the lids on the cans and throw an oxygen absorber in there, and you can buy, you know, big bags of pinto beans, for example, for like $18. That includes the cans, the oxygen absorber, the equipment, you know, that you need to use to package it, and the box to put the cans in, 6 cans to a box, and so on. Or if you want to put it in Mylar bags, they have the Mylar bags as well on the machine to seal them. So I would suggest everybody, you know, try to find your nearest LDS, you know, store around, and they will. You don't have to be a member of the LDS church. I'm certainly not. You know, but you don't have to be a member to go buy this stuff from them. And I think it's a great service that they are providing. The Lord our God does find a way to provide for everybody, no matter what the source is. So start with, you know, 3 months supplies for every person in your house, and always plan that you may have to, you know, extend the hand to family or friends. So make sure that you account for a few extra people in your household, because not everybody is gonna think about storing food, and actually most everybody's not gonna think about it. It's gonna be a very small minority. So store your food and keep it stored, you know, 75 degrees or less, and take advantage of it, because their prices are great. I mean, I bought a, you know, I think it was a 25-pound bag of pinto beans, something like $17. Rice, 25-pound bags was like, I believe, $12 or something like that. I mean, it's extremely inexpensive. So it's something that's great to do. You can buy bags of sugar. You can buy dehydrated, you know, potato flakes. You can buy dried apples, for example. You can buy all kinds of stuff. And most of the stuff they sell there will last, you know, up to 30 years. Some of the stuff they have, you know, will last 10 years, like flour, for example. You can buy big old bags of flour. They'll package it, or you can package it there, and they'll last you, you know, 10 years. So that's something you should consider. The other thing that you ought to consider is getting out of your financial investments that are based either in US dollar assets or just paper assets. And the reason is simple. Congress has already been throwing the idea around and discussing creating a new investment program or a new retirement program for people in the U.S. because they know that Social Security is dead for all intents and purposes. It's certainly going to be there, you know, for most of us that are still continuing to pay when they're already used up all the money that used to be in those accounts, in those trust funds, and spent them. So there's nothing there for us. And what that really means when they're talking about that is that when they get desperate enough, they're going to really take the 401ks and the IRAs, and they're going to try to create some new, you know, Social Security, for lack of better words, but some new retirement, national retirement plan, and they're going to invest it on your behalf. You know, it's a national investment plan, right? The government can't do anything, right? They certainly cannot invest any money without losing money. So what I would suggest that you do is really consider taking your IRAs out, taking your 401ks out, cash all that stuff out, and buy gold and silver, preferably silver. Protect yourself from an economic collapse, and even if it doesn't happen, you're going to make a lot more money probably than what you're making right now. If you're letting somebody else manage your funds, you're probably not making as much as you could have if you had just invested in gold and silver. Last year, silver by itself rose 78.5%. I don't know many investments that you can get into that will give you that kind of annual return, right? So last year was an exception, but the year before that was almost 50%, and that's still phenomenal. So it's just something that you might want to do. You don't have to do it right now, but you really need to pay attention to what's going on in the market. I mean, West Texas, sweet oil, sweet crude has gone up to $106. I think today was 103 and change for a barrel. But oil is going to rise to $150 to $200 a barrel. There's no question in my mind. Corn is up over 57%. Food inflation is just running rampant right now. So the writing is on the wall in the sense that we don't have a whole lot of time to really get prepared from an economic collapse, and when it happens, it's going to happen violently. It happens very quickly. What happened in the Depression in the 30s was essentially something that took less than 3 days. The markets are going to close. When you see a run on the banks or a run on the stock market, which will happen very quickly when you have the automatic trading, the computerized trading go on, there's going to be a massive sell-off. They're going to throw the switch, hope for things to cool down, and they're not really going to cool down. So you're going to have markets closing, banks closing, and no way for you to get your money out of your investments, nor way to get cash out of your banks. So my suggestion is keep cash at home for emergencies, a sufficient amount to last you a month or so, and keep your investments somewhere where you can physically touch them. You cannot touch a stock, and I mean, I have IRAs and I have 401ks, and I'm cashing those out. I believe the time has come. I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't have to do it right now, but I feel better doing it right now. And there's an important reason for doing that. When you really think about it, the reason that a 401k is there is because the private companies didn't want to be in the business of funding pensions and paying pensioners for years and years. So they used the tax loophole that you could, as a private individual, create investments for your retirement, which were tax deferred. And so they latched onto that, created a constant 401k, and they just matched a certain amount of your contribution. And that's how they got out of the pension funding. The IRA it's very similar to that, in the sense that it's really kind of it's not a good investment from a tax perspective. In the sense that you defer the taxes when you're putting them in, putting your contributions in, which is not that much. It's only $5,000 a year, unless you're over 50, and then it's $500 a year. But the tax shelter that you get from that, right, is, when you really think about it, it's during the years that you're working and you're contributing, years that you have mortgages and expenses that can be deductions. So sheltering a small amount of money when you have a lot of deductions doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And here's the reason why. You're avoiding a small tax penalty, which is gonna really be a greater tax penalty in the end when you start drawing from it. Because by the time you start drawing on those IRAs when you're retired, you won't have, more than likely, mortgages or as many tax shelters as you would. So you're going to pay more for that money that you tax deferred, whereas if you do it now in a non-IRA way, even if you take your money and just invest it in something else like gold and silver, and you were to pay taxes on that, you would not pay as much in taxes, because more than likely you have more tax shelters right now, more deductions that you can take advantage of, which you won't have during your retirement years. So that's just something for you to think about. I certainly am following that advice. I already cashed out of my 401k. I got the minimum amount that I can have in there while I still am on this with this employer. But the IRAs are coming to a halt pretty quickly. Actually, sometime this evening I'll be selling all the stocks, so I can call tomorrow and close them out and pay the fees, and I'll just pay the tax at the end of the year. But I think it'll be I'll have more peace of mind doing that. Also, something that you need to think about is move out of the cities, move to the country. That's where I live, out in the country. Get you some land. I'm putting in a fence around my house and my property. We're gonna get some goats. We already had chickens. So we're gonna be as self-sufficient as we can. We have our own water well. We have wind and solar, as you know. I'm actually going to change one of my, for example, our well pump. I'm going to change for a windmill. So we're going to have the water being extracted from our well into my 300-gallon holding tank by wind. And then I'll just need a little bit of power to pump it into the house. There are just certain things that I like to already have. And even if nothing happens, it leads me to independence, and independence is always a good thing. If I don't have to pay electricity to pump water out of the well, hey, more power to me, right? If I don't have to pay electricity for most of the things that are run at home because I'm on solar, then more power to me. If something ever happens, hey, I'm protected. And it's not a question. I get questions all the time about, how much did it cost, right? Did I get my money back on it yet? It's not about getting your money back, and it's not about how much it costs. It's about how much it would cost if you didn't have it. So you need to think about it as a life insurance. That really is what it is. It's peace of mind. It's an insurance that if it happens, if it doesn't happen, I'm taken care of. My family's taken care of, or whoever ends up, taking my house. If I'm not here, we moved on, then they'll be taken care of. But you certainly ought to take steps also to prepare yourself, prepare your property. I don't travel, unless I have my protection. So I carry a gun with me at all times. In my particular case, I am particular to 45, so I have a compact 45 in the car. At home I have, a slew of weapons, and I have friends that live in Houston. We have kind of a circle of friends that we know that, something happens, they're not nearly as far along as I am, but if something should happen and they're not ready, I know who's coming to my house, right? We have, coordinated, things. They are extremely well stacked with food storage, and books, and supplies, and, ammo and guns and all that stuff. I don't think we're really going to need ammo and guns, to be quite honest. But it's good for barter, right? When things get weird, you never know what you could use to barter, right? So that's why you always should have some cash in hand. In case something happens, you could always trade it for fuel or whatever it is that you may need. Do stock up on toilet paper, right? A lot of people don't think about those things. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, mouthwash, alcohol, swabs, cotton, all those things that you use daily, soap and shampoo, that you normally don't pay attention to because you use it, it's second nature, but you're going to need to stock up on that stuff and keep it around. I'll do another video soon because I also have a beehive, and I have my bees coming in May, so we're excited about that because we're going to have our own bees, and we're going to have our own honey, wax if we needed to. And I don't want to sound like a nut job here, but I think there's just too many too many things going wrong right now. There's too much pressure in the world. When we had World War I and World War II, we had the same similar pressures. So, you can't have all these economic downturns all around the world, all these natural events, destructive events that are occurring, and you can't have all of this unrest in Indochina as well as Africa and the Middle East, and not think that there's a very high possibility of a national conflagration somewhere, meaning that the possibility of a war in the future is extremely high. There's just too much tension. So for whatever it's worth, I wanted to make this video, make use of the time to have a chat with everybody, kind of let you all know what I'm thinking, and hope everybody's safe. Hope God blesses you with discernment and can see kind of what's going on. Read about the economy. Make sure that you invest in yourself and your family. Go to the doctor, go to the dentist, right? Get everything squared away, get your teeth fixed if they need fixing. Because you never know what's going to happen in the future, right? Get your health taken care of, stock up on stuff, because even if you have a hurricane or an earthquake or something like that, you just gotta have something to fall back on for a while, okay? God bless everybody. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for commenting. May the Lord bless you all and keep you safe. Pray for yourself. Pray for our country. Pray for our leaders to make the right decisions. And I will talk to you later.